All right, so let's jump into this world where art and algorithms collide. We're talking AI and creativity this time, and how copyright law is scrambling to catch up. We've got a whole stack of reports and legal analysis from the US Copyright Office, specifically about how they're dealing with this whole AI-generated content thing. And this is like a really big deal for anyone in a creative field or anyone who uses creative tools in their work.
Absolutely. I mean, imagine a world where anyone's voice can be perfectly copied, or AI can just pump out art in any artist's style. The question is anything even original anymore, or rather, was it ever?
Right? That's the question everyone's asking. And the US Copyright Office is at least trying to give us some answers, or at least a framework for how to think about this stuff. One term they use that I think is really interesting is digital replica. It refers to AI content that's mimicking a real person, so their voice, their image, even their artistic style.
So basically, deep fakes, but not just the bad kind.
Right? Exactly. The report actually says that this tech has huge potential for good things. Like think about accessibility tools for people with disabilities or even bringing back performances of artists who have passed away. It could open up totally new ways to be creative.
That's pretty amazing, but I'm guessing there's another side to this coin, right?
Yeah, definitely. The report doesn't shy away from the downsides of this tech. Things like non-consensual pornographic content or fraud, and even ways to manipulate elections. It's actually really alarming because it's not just celebrities who are vulnerable. Everyday people are being affected by this too.
Yeah, that is unsettling. So, where does copyright law even begin to address all this?
Well, that's where it gets tricky. Copyright law is designed to protect things that are human created and original. Right now, AI outputs on their own don't really fit that.
But haven't there been cases where AI stuff has gotten copyright?
There's one case that's got everyone talking. The Copyright Office actually gave registration to a graphic novel where the images were made by AI.
So, AI generated content can be copyrighted. So, that changes everything?
Hold on. It's not quite that simple. They didn't copyright the AI images themselves. It was the human author who arranged those images in a unique way to tell a story. The Copyright Office basically said that they recognize the author's creative choices in picking, arranging, and giving context to the AI stuff.
It's less about who made the raw materials and more about who made it into a finished product.
Exactly. And it's a precedent for how copyright might handle AI-generated stuff going forward. It suggests that just typing something into an AI program and getting something cool isn't enough to call it yours.
So it's about control and intention then. Did the human actually guide the AI to make something that shows their creative choices?
That's the big question. The report uses this analogy of photography, like the camera doesn't own the copyright, the photographer does. It's the photographer who picks the subject, the lighting, the whole composition. They make creative decisions that shape the final image, and it's the same with AI stuff.
That makes sense. But wouldn't it be hard to prove that level of control, especially if you're using a program with a lot of built-in stuff?
It's a good point. And that's why the Copyright Office is really pushing creators to document every single thing. The prompts, the edits, they make the choices, they guide the AI to make. It basically creates a paper trail so you can prove it's yours. And this is only going to get more important as these AI tools get fancier and easier to use. We're already seeing AI programs that can make music in the style of famous artists or paintings that look like a famous painter did them.
Like an AI portfolio.
That's kind of scary, which brings us to that whole style wars debate. AI can copy anyone's style. Does that mean style isn't protected by copyright?
Yeah, that's a question a lot of artists are struggling with. And the answer is more complicated than we'd like.
So, what does the Copyright Office say about AI and style?
They're super clear about the style itself is not copyrightable.
Really? So, someone can just make an AI that pumps out music that sounds exactly like Billie Eilish, and she can't do anything about it.
It's not that straightforward. While just copying style might not be illegal under copyright, if someone used Eilish's actual work to train that AI, that could be infringement.
Okay, so there's at least some protection against someone making an AI clone of me using my work.
Exactly. And the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, also has something to say about this. They've said that if you're using AI to copy someone's style, to trick people, or hurt the creator's reputation, that could be illegal under unfair competition laws.
So there are other laws that might protect me even if copyright doesn't cover style directly, right? But this is still a very gray area and things are changing fast. Creators need to know their rights and stay updated.
So there's copyright, consumer protection, and a whole lot of legal gray area.
Pretty much. And it'll take a lot of talking and working together between lawmakers, industry leaders, and the creative people to figure out how to navigate this new world.
It sounds like we're just scratching the surface here.
We are. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll get into the arguments for and against giving AI-generated content, copyright, and what all this means for the future of creativity.
So we've said, like, the whole AI and copyright thing is pretty complicated. But let's get to the real debate. Should AI stuff even be copyrightable?
That's the big question, right? And there are seriously good points on both sides.
Yeah, I bet. It's not like every day the whole idea of creativity is up for debate. Yeah, so give it to us straight. What are the arguments for and against AI copyright?
Let's start with the arguments against it. One of the biggest worries is that it would just flood everything with tons of low-quality machine-made content. Yeah, and people worry that would cheapen human creativity and make it harder for real artists to make a living.
It's like the fear that art will become similar to a factory product, just something churned out with no human touch.
Yeah, exactly. And this worry is huge in fields like music and visual art, where AI is already making stuff that's like hard to tell apart from human work.
Right? So some people are worried about how it affects artists' jobs. But what about the other side? Why would people want AI content to have copyright?
Well, one big argument is that it would encourage more innovation in AI. Like if developers and companies know they can protect their AI creations, they might be more willing to invest in research and development.
It's like any other invention, right? If you can make money off it, people will work harder to make it better.
Right? And besides the money, there's also the question of recognizing the creativity that can come from humans and AI working together.
Okay, so it's not just about the AI doing it all alone. It's how humans can team up with AI to make something new.
Exactly. Think of it like a partnership where each side brings something special to the table. You know, the human might have the idea, but the AI helps make that idea real in ways we couldn't do before.
Makes sense. But if AI is just a tool like a really fancy paintbrush, shouldn't the human using it own the copyright?
That's something people get wrong a lot. And it's why this whole thing is so tricky. The line between human and AI and creativity isn't always that clear. Imagine a musician using AI to help them write a melody. They give the AI some rules, like the key, the tempo, the feeling they want, and the AI comes up with musical phrases. Then the musician picks the ones they like and puts them together into a song.
Can you give us an example?
So the AI is doing the hard part, but the human is still the one making the final decisions, right?
And in that situation, it's hard to say who's being more creative. It becomes a question of how much each side is doing, and that's copyright law has to figure out as we use AI more and more.
So on one hand, we don't want to stop progress by saying no to copyright for AI stuff that's truly creative. But we also don't want to say that human creativity isn't valuable or end up with a bunch of junk made by machines. Seems like that graphic novel case gives us some clues about how the Copyright Office is thinking about this.
That's a tough balance.
Right? Remember, the important part wasn't just that a human was involved. It was the specific things the author did with those AI images. The Copyright Office looked at how they were picked, how the story was structured, even choices about the words and the pacing.
So you can't just throw a bunch of AI images together. You have to show you've made creative decisions about the final product.
Exactly. And that idea of control, of humans making choices about what the AI does, that's going to be super important for any talk about AI copyright in the future.
We've talked about the fears people have hurting artists' careers and AI making human creativity seem less special. But I want to hear more about the good things AI can do, especially for creative people.
People are really excited about how AI can help us be even more creative. Imagine tools that let people with disabilities make art in totally new ways.
I've seen some incredible stuff like that. People making music with their thoughts or painting with their eyes. It's amazing.
Yeah. And besides helping people, AI can help us create totally new kinds of art and expression. Well, we've got AI being used to make those VR experiences that feel real interactive art that changes based on the audience and art that evolves over time.
So it's not about copying old forms of art. It's using AI to invent brand new ones.
Right? And that's why this copyright conversation matters so much. We need to figure out how to protect human creativity while also being open to AI, expanding what art can even be.
It's exciting and scary at the same time.
We're definitely entering a whole new creative era.
We are, and in the last part of our deep dive, we'll look at some practical things creators can do to protect themselves in this crazy new world. Okay, so we've looked at all the dilemmas and arguments, hopes and fears about AI and creativity. But for our listeners out there, the artists, the tech people, anyone whose work is affected by this, what can we actually do about it?
That's the question, right? Knowing stuff is only useful if you can actually use it. So let's make this practical. First, if you're using AI in your creative process, write everything down. Yeah, kind of. Seriously though, document everything. The prompts you give it, the settings, any edits or decisions you make, it proves you're the author. Remember, the law right now is all about human creativity. So you got to make sure your human touch is super obvious.
Like, keep a diary of my AI adventure.
So even if the AI is doing a lot of the work, it's about showing I'm the one calling the shots, the creative director.
Yep, think of it like a movie set. The AI is a super fancy camera, but you're the one choosing what to film, the angles of the lighting. That's what copyright protects your creative choices.
Got it. But what about stopping AI from copying me? Like, what if someone makes an AI that does my style? Perfect.
We talked about this a bit. Style itself isn't protected under copyright yet. It's tricky.
So someone can just have their AI spit out music that sounds exactly like mine, and I can't do anything.
Not necessarily. While the Copyright Office says style isn't protected, the FTC might have your back. They've said that using AI to copy your style to trick people or hurt your reputation, that could be illegal under unfair competition laws.
So if someone tries to sell AI, faces my work or damage my name, I might be able to sue them.
Exactly. And it's not just the FTC, the Lanham Act. It's about trademarks, and false advertising might apply too. If someone's using your name without permission to sell something, that could be a violation.
So even though my style isn't directly protected, I'm not totally helpless if someone tries to rip me off, right?
And this is where all that documenting we talked about is super important. It helps prove the work is really yours. And any AI copycat is just a cheap knockoff.
This all seems kind of like waiting for someone to do something bad, though, and then reacting. Is there anything creators can do before that happens?
For sure, transparency is key. Be open about how you're using AI in your work. It's the right thing to do, and it builds trust with your audience. Imagine a musician giving credit to their AI tool right alongside the human band members, or an artist explaining how AI helped them get a certain effect. It lets people see the creative process in a new way.
So no hiding my AI partner.
And it takes away that fear of getting caught using AI, which seems to stress a lot of creative people out.
Being open about it can really help people understand AI better and see how it can actually help human creativity, not replace it.
This brings us to the bigger picture. We've talked about what individual creators can do, but what about the whole system? What needs to change to make this less of a legal and ethical mess?
That's where we gotta think bigger than just ourselves. The Copyright Office knows we need clearer rules and laws about AI and creativity. Think about like a label for AI generated stuff. Imagine a symbol like the copyright symbol, but it means made with AI. Or maybe make AI developers include features that tracks the creative process so it's easier to see the human's role.
What would that look like in real life?
So basically create a system that works for everyone, protects creators, encourages people to make new things, and helps the audience understand what's going on.
Exactly. But this won't happen overnight. We need to talk, collaborate, and have some tough conversations about what creativity even means in the age of AI.
That's where our listeners come in, right? We need their thoughts on all this.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on everything we've talked about today? How do you think AI is changing the creative world? Share your ideas, because these conversations are shaping the future of art, technology, and everything in between.
Well said. We've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive. We went from what AI generated content is to what it means for creators, the legal battles, and the ethical questions it brings up.
And it all comes down to this: AI is here to stay, and it's shaking things up in every creative field. But the future of creativity isn't about us versus the machines. It's about using these powerful tools the right way, in a way that benefits everyone.
And that's what we'll keep digging into in future episodes. Until then, keep creating, keep asking questions, and keep sending us your deep dive requests. Follow and subscribe to the Tech Margin, where Sonia, aka Supersonic, writes weekly original stories about the application of creativity in the age of AI. Thanks for listening.